G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the After Hours Gaming League Season 3. We're up to week number 6. Holy moly, we've been going through this season so very fast. We're almost up to the playoffs, and of course that means we're almost up to the bit where it's going to be a lot of fun for those of us casting the games, where we're going to be getting into the So You Think You Can Cast competition. If you're not sure what I'm on about, jump into onto the AfterHoursGaming.tv website and have a look at some of the details of what's going to be going on. A little bit like So You Think You Can Dance, or an American Idol kind of contest where we will be voted on, those of us who are casting, and you guys will help decide who gets to make it through and who will be the finalists. But anyway, let's talk about our games right here. We've got a PvP for game number 1, and our teams that are playing going to be two big names. Of course, I don't really need to introduce their particular companies. Of course, starting at the top right hand side as our Red Protoss, playing for Team Google, it is Turing. Of course, a big fan of the Turing test, perhaps, just to see, likes to test if his computer is going to be intelligent or not. His opponent, who is just about to scout through his the red base, is going to be playing for Team Amazon. It is Zimmbous. Zimmbous? I don't know. Let's hope I get that right. I'm sorry, guys. It's early in the morning and it's going to be like 35 degrees here, so I'm kind of dreading how this day is going to go. But I thought I'd wake up early and get these casts done. Yeah, Zimmbous up the top here. He's doing a little bit of harassment. There is a little bit of a skill differential from what I saw, at least in terms of the HOTS rankings. And perhaps, there you go, bam, a probe kill there for Zimmbous. Not the most usual thing to see, a probe die in the mineral line, but like that. But anyway, as I was saying, there does seem to be a little bit of a skill differential. I'm not entirely sure if it's actually something that will be a big factor in the game, but our players, we've got a Masters player, which is Zimmbous, I believe, and then Turing, who is a Gold player, so that's at least the HOTS rankings. Now again, we've sort of been through it before. One of the teams sort of intimated to me that, it perhaps doesn't matter so much, because the HOTS, the way that the placements are done and things like that in HOTS is a little bit broken. Certain people getting into Grandmaster when perhaps they shouldn't, certain people not getting into Grandmaster when they probably should. So, the rankings may not matter so much. Not to mention, we're not here to, have a contest on who has the better rank. We're here to watch some awesome games, and it does look like we'll have a Stalker opening for Zimmbous at the moment. Double assimilators there. His opponent has not gone for the double assimilator, but Turing is going to pick up the Mothership Core a lot quicker. Now, of course, the Mothership Core allows you to defend a little bit better earlier on, of course, providing that Photon Overcharge ability. There she is, she's just popped into existence. The Photon Overcharge providing you with that ability to expand a little bit quicker. You can also scan out for any annoying pylons or anything like that. It looks like our Amazon player is going to be the first one to put on some aggression, whereas our Google player Turing is going to set up that very quick expansion. Just off one gate, of course, one gas. He's going to try and utilize the protection of the Mothership Core. First Stalker now coming up the ramp. Zimmbous a little bit caught off guard there, and we'll take at least one shot on his Stalker, which will take a little bit of health damage. Oh, no. No health damage there on that Stalker. He's going to be happy about that. But this is going to be an extremely quick expansion. Of course, Wings of Liberty, you wouldn't ever see something like this, just due to the fact that there was no Mothership Core. And if you were going to do something like that, you would be considered crazy or Oz, and neither of these players is Oz. So it looks like Zimmbous is going to head out. He may want to try and do something about this this very quick expansion. He does have the double gate already out, of course. He's got a robo facility there as well. Worker count is looking pretty decent for both players, relatively even though, of course, Zimmbous here on 24 workers. His opponent up to 24 as well. In fact, they've both just sort of skipped up a little bit, and we will see 3 gates, a robo as well. So Turing playing a very, very a greedy style with that quick expansion, but he is going to have some very good defense coming out in just a moment. And of course, we mentioned before, Mothership Core providing those extra defensive capabilities, and of course that really helps out in these kinds of situations while the probes are just sort of almost chasing after each other. It's a little bit of a funky situation there, but so reasonably quick expansions from Zimmbous as well, although, you know, a lot further behind his opponent. We'll see how that affects his economy. And, you know, I'm sort of curious to see whether Zimmbous is going to try and attack after spotting this quick expansion. There we go, he finally spots it, gets inside and says, uh-oh, he's had that up for a little bit further, and, you know, he's already got an Immortal out, so things are going to be already turning the other way when it comes to the economy. As we can see, 32 workers already built by Turing here, so he is taking that lead. Of course, you get double Nexus, double Chrono Boost. He still actually has some of the Chrono Boost on the main Nexus right now, and, you know, we'll see if there will be a push, and it looks like there is a small push coming across from Zimmbous at the moment. He's got the Mothership Core, a Stalker, and a few Zealots and Sentries on the ground as well. The defensive units of Turing at the moment, an Immortal, a couple Sentries, and a couple of Stalkers as well. So, you know, this push, I doubt this is really going to get anything done unless we see some fantastic force fields. We see separation of one of the Stalkers actually very nicely done. So, the pressure will continue. Of course, the Photon Overcharge going down from Turing. So, he's able to push this back, and that's that power of the Mothership Core that came out very early. So, he's got access to one. In a second, he'll have access to Photon Overcharge again. But very nicely deflected there. Just sort of throws down the Photon Overcharge, doesn't commit too much to his defense, and says, alright, we're cool here, I've got the better economy, and you're going to have to sit back for now. And as we can see, with the expansion going up from Zimmbous, we're now sitting on even expansions. So, you know, this is the part where the tech will start coming into play. We've already got Zimmbous going up to his extended thermal lance. A first Colossus is on the way. A Forge also being built now as well. So he's really going to kick up that tech a notch, and we can see that that Turing is also doing the same thing. We've got the Robo Bay is on the way, a couple of extra gates, so he's going to take him to a total of 5. He also has that extra Immortal coming out. These first initial Immortals, they're not only good for this this initial part of the game where you need them for the defense, but you also if you can keep them alive for later on in the game, they're fantastic at dealing damage to the Colossi. Of course, they're able to blast them down, given that they are armored units. And, you know, we'll see if that plays into, if it plays a factor later on in the game, because we've got these 2 out. Is he going to... No, he's not going to continue on with another one. He's going to wait a little bit more just for that first Colossus. So, you know, we can see this game just sort of playing very passive for the moment. Neither of these players really wanting to push against their opponents for now, but we do actually have a drop. A Warp Prism came through and dropped in a couple of Zealots in the mineral line of Zimmbous, and he is going to get quite a lot of damage done. Very nicely done, and that is a, you know, that's a decent amount of workers there. In fact, wow, that was actually a pylon. I am so sorry I missed that down there. A pylon inside the main base of Zimmbous. That is not good for him at all. Looks like he does finally clean that up, but there will be some units now pushing across from Turing. So he's got a few of these units out at the front door of the map. A probe coming across, going to provide a proxy pylon, I would assume. And he's going to build a couple more. Yeah, I think he's going to build just a few out to the side, maybe try and block this natural expansion as well. And, you know, here we go. We will have a little bit of an engagement out here at the Xel'Naga Watchtower. 2 Colossi are here, but the double Immortals blasting them down. Quick, smart. Look at that. The Colossi just getting targeted down very nicely by Turing there. We do see the Time Warp as well, which does slow down some of these units. And it looks like Turing is going to lose most of these units here. But as we can see, he does get a nice amount of damage done, and of course Zimmbous is going to have to try and push back against that. Turing, keeping an eye on what his opponent is up to, can see a little bit of the tech that's going on right now. And, you know, we'll have to see, is this attack going to get anything done? I'm not too sure. I don't really think it will, because, of course, there is a Colossus. We got the Photon Overcharge availability there on that Mothership Core. And with Turing having a little bit closer support in terms of his... in terms of his reinforcements and those kinds of things, this is not going to get anything done. So Zimmbous does have to fall back for the moment. Of course, he does still have these 2 bases mining away quite nicely. The worker count a little bit behind, but not really too much of a trouble going on here. So he's at 42 workers right now, losing 5 earlier on from that attack. But, you know, it's not really a massive sort of difference that's going to cost him the game right now. He is getting +2 on his weapons. Of course, another Colossi going to come out, and now it looks as if he is going to try clear out the third base. I think both players will probably want to look towards grabbing a third base in just a moment. We'll see that coming up very soon. In fact, a second Robo is being built by Turing right now, so he's going to kick into that sort of mid to late game stage of PvP, where it becomes, you know, the old the Colossus battles. But we'll have to see if Zimmbous is going to do something about that. Of course, Void Rays have been making a huge comeback in this particular matchup. If you can get them out, get the prismatic alignment rolling, then you can just blast down all these kinds of units very, very quickly and very easily. So, you know, we'll keep that in mind. Looks like Turing does have his third base going up. Of course, this base does have quite a few routes of attack just coming in from all of the sides there, and then you can also, you know, if you really wanted to, if you wanted to be very tricky, you can come up through the natural ramp there and then come through this way as well, although, of course, that's very unlikely to see it that way, considering the natural is much closer than the third in that case, but, you know, things can happen. Zimmbous has gotten his third base up. It looks like that is just about done as well. Worker count still favouring Turing, of course. He's just a little bit ahead. 55 workers at the moment. That is actually starting to sort of kick up a little bit now. Up to 57 workers, 49 for Zimmbous right now. So he's going to need to catch up a little bit in the worker stakes. Just looking at the units as well. We've currently got Zimmbous sitting on a total of 3 Colossi. He's got a single Stalker, a couple of Sentries, a single Templar as well, along with an Archon, an Immortal, and some Zealots on the ground. Meanwhile, for his opponent, we can see that Turing is up to a total of 4 Colossi right now, 7 Zealots. He's got 9 Stalkers on the ground as well, along with a Sentry and of course that Mothership Core as well. So both players really just starting to get that economy rolling, get the extra production going. What I would really like to see is a couple more gateways here. If Zimmbous is going to stick with a very with the Templar tech, with the charge lots and these kinds of things, we'd really like to see a couple more gates from him. He does have one down at the natural there as well, but that still keeps him at a total of only 4 gates right now, so that's not exactly the largest amount of gates. He is really focusing on tech though. Of course, we've got charge finished up, we got +3 to weapons on the way, a second forge is also being built now as well, so he's really favouring a tech-based play right now, and we'll see if that's going to help him out. Of course, you know, getting the tech going on your Protoss units is really good. If you can get to, you know, +3 weapons, that really helps out the Colossi and the Archons, the power units that really rely on doing big hits, and if you can add in extra damage to what they've already got, then that really helps out. But, you know, while it has changed a lot from Wings of Liberty, these sorts of Colossi Death Balls and you know, the various positioning that you'll rely on for the fights in PvP are a really big factor, and you know, this will be a very interesting fight coming up. I think we're about to have it all go down. We've got 6 Colossi versus 5. Here we go. The battle opens up. We got Colossi at the side from Turing. He is a little bit clumped up, whereas Zimmbous actually has a nice spread of his units there. That may be an interesting factor here. The Colossi getting burnt down. Turing has actually lost the lead in the Colossi count. Some beautiful time warps there from the Mothership Core of Zimmbous, actually slowing down his opponent, and the Colossi get out of position. They're stuck. They're slow. They're locking up on themselves as well, but he does have a double production of these, so he'll be able to bring out 2 Colossi at a time. In fact, at the moment, he's not bringing out any Colossi. I'm not sure what the deal is right now from Turing, but he is getting +3 on his weapons. Of course, he's also getting charge as well. He's going to get his own tech going, and you know, we'll see if he is able to add that in. But you know, right now I'm kind of liking the position that Zimmbous is in. He's gotten himself up to a nice Colossus lead. His upgrades are really coming along quite nicely. He's up to +3 weapons, +1 on the armor is just about to complete, and he's also adding in those Archons. So no real deficiencies in the power of what he's got here. Although, you know, we could see him perhaps add in a few Tempests. They may come about, of course, as we mentioned before, Void Rays, a big factor in PvP now as well. For Turing, well, of course, his upgrades are still coming along. Level 3 weapons is on the way. He is getting double Stargate right now, so where is that? And the Fleet Bacon has just finished up. So double Stargate, the Fleet Bacon, he's probably going to go and add in a couple of Tempest, I would assume. He's also slowed down on that Colossi production, so he's only up to a total of 6 right now out on the field. So, you know, we'll see if that factors in at all. Looks like Zimmbous getting a run-by attack into the third base, going to try and target down some of these workers. He will get a couple, maybe 2 or 3 in total. Looks like it's around about 4 or so, yeah. So 7 to 7 is a worker kill tally. Nothing too huge going on right now, so that's sort of just how the cookie has crumbled in this game. Not too much going on in terms of worker harassment. Turing is going to go for his 4th base now, though. So he is going to start to switch in. We got a total of 3 Stargates now, pumping out those Tempest. Of course, they don't do bonus damage to Colossi anymore, which used to be the old sort of let's break up the Colossus versus Colossus metagame of PvP, but they still do a really nice amount of damage. Of course, they add on around about, I think it's 30 or so damage to ground units, and then of course 30 to air units unless they're massive. There we go, there's one. So it is, yeah, 30 damage on the anti-ground, and then 30 on air unless it's massive, in which case it turns to 80, which is a huge amount of damage. So it is good to see him add those in. He's also researching +1 air weapons right now, so he's going to continue to add in that air tech and start looking towards that. I would not be surprised if we start to see perhaps a carrier or two also come out of Turing right now. Meanwhile, for Zimmbous, he's still sitting on this mainly Colossus and Gateway-based force. Of course, still not nothing to be laughed at all. Of course, Colossi Archon is one of the really big sort of ways to utilize a late-game Protoss army, is to just really have these big power punch forces. And he will have to get the punching going on at the 3rd base because Turing has made his way inside. Zealot's going to try and go to town on some of these workers here. Unfortunately, they get blocked out by a little bit of a nice-looking wall here. I love the position of the cannon in here, just sort of sitting inside this cluster of buildings, and was able to defend quite well against that. It looks like there is a War Prism attack inside the main as well. Zealot's going to town in here. Unfortunately, there isn't really too much economy left in here, apart from the 2 gases which are mining away, and even those are not too long for this world, but really not too much to get done inside there for Turing. So he does his best to try and get some harassment going. He's still sitting on an even worker count for these two right now, but you know, we'll have to consider the fact that Zimmbous, he's up to a huge amount of Colossi right now. 9 Colossi, he's got 6 Archons on the ground. There are still 10 Zealots left around the map somewhere, but the big factor are going to be these Tempests. How much damage are they going to be able to do? Because they're, you know, they will certainly be able to get a decent hit done, because the Stalker force of Zimmbous right now is sitting at 4. They don't have Blink. They you know, they do have decent upgrades, 2 on 3, which is really nice, but you know, the fact of the matter is these guys can shoot from a long way away. Look at that. They've got 15 range, which is just absolutely insane to deal with in this kind of situation. There are 7 of them out on the map at the moment. Once you sort of reach the 8, sort of 7, 8 mark, that's when they start becoming a huge nuisance to deal with, no matter what you actually have out. So Zimmbous is going to be he's got to be very careful about how he proceeds from here. He actually has no observer out. He's just finished one finally, bringing an observer that's going to come across. He's going to try and see what his opponent has got out on the field, but at the moment we've got the Mothership Core switching over into the normal Mothership right now. And it looks like we'll have a battle. Zimmbous just pushing across. He's going to try and get some damage done here. The big fight ensues here at the 4th base of Turing. Void Ray is coming in to try and help out, and the Archons are really doing a nice amount of damage. A Time Warp thrown down as well. Looks like Turing is going to have a little bit of trouble with this fight. Just so many Colossus from Zimmbous, and given that all of Turing's Colossi were all bunched up himself, they took so much damage from all the Colossi splash of Zimmbous, and despite having their Tempest in the air, Stalker's now coming across. They're going to be able to finally try and fend off against these powerful air units, and it looks like Turing is not going to be able to win in this fight, despite not, well, you know, he had a very powerful force, not to mention those Tempests up in the sky, and it looks like he will finally force the forces of Zimmbous back, and he's going to research Blink right now. He's probably realized, oh wait, yeah, I kind of need Blink in this situation, but a nice amount of damage done there. He took out a huge amount of Turing's forces. He's taken him down to 96 supply. Of course, you know, Zimmbous didn't leave without his own losses there as well. He lost the majority of his own Colossi, but you know, He was able to succeed in taking down his opponent's 4th base. He's still sitting on 4 bases right now, with a 5th just getting into production as well. And, well, as we can see, the banks of both of these players has been completely obliterated right now. Resupplying on Archons, on the Stalkers as well. Looks like Turing is going to try and get his best work done here with a couple of Tempests across to the side. Going to try and get as much damage as they can done. The Archon's going to do what they can to try and protect that, but Turing is, well, he's struggling a little bit with his economy. He's finally transferred some probes across to the 5th base, or what used to be the 5th base, and now he's going to have to defend against this attack that's coming in. Zealots at the front, able to tank up some of the damage. Archons at the back, along with the Stalkers and the Void Rays here. Void Ray going to town, activating the Prismatic Alignment. Unfortunately, not enough to take down the Tempest and the Stalkers here. It looks like we've got an interesting fight on our hands, because Turing has just got so much firepower here with the Tempest. If they can be just protected from the ground units, if these Stalkers can be kept away from them, then I think that Turing is going to have a really fun time taking down this 4th base, and he certainly does need to, because if we look at the economy right now, 66 workers versus 54, and around about 2,000 minerals coming in for Zimmbous right now, so he can certainly resupply very quickly, and if he can get that done, then he's going to be, you know, sitting in a very nice position. He's just got to get rid of some of these Tempests. He needs to get rid of some of these Stalkers as well, and I think he may be able to. Look at that, with the Stalkers blinking around just right underneath those Tempests. He is able to get rid of the 2 of them. This allows the rest of his units to get into the fight and get a decent amount of damage done. Another Tempest comes along from Turing. Unfortunately, this guy is a little bit trigger happy, just walking straight into the forces of Stalkers and Archons, and I think that could be the end of Turing right here, right now, for Team Google. His economy has just sort of suffered quite a lot. Of course, he is not mining too much gas right now. Look at that. We've only got around about 500 to 600 gas coming in at a time. Of course, his 3rd base is still mining quite nicely. The natural just about depleted. In fact, very soon that'll be depleted. Of course, the main has been gone for quite a long time, and he's just having a lot of trouble trying to get his economy kick-started in this situation. So, Zimmbous, with a huge advantage in his economy, is going to really boost up that army back up to 138 supply. He's got a Colossus, he's got an Archon, and a couple more just building right now. There they are, along with you know, Void Rays starting to come in as well, and he's going to really start to just be able to pressure his opponent, put him on the back foot, and I don't think that Turing is going to be able to recover from this. Probes now going down. The remaining forces of Turing trying to defend here at the 3rd base, but there is just not enough right now. Turing doing his best, blinking behind the Archons. They're allowed to take up some of that damage, and, you know, he does a really good job trying to fend off what he can right here. Takes down some of the Archons of Zimmbous, but unfortunately, there we go, the blink kicking in yet again. The Void Ray here doing its insane amount of damage when the Prismatic Alignment is activated. The shields also, interestingly, playing a big factor here. +3 of the upgrades of all of these ground units here for Zimmbous. 333 is what Turing is facing right now, and with no way to defend against this, he is forced to GG. So game number 1 will go the way of Team Amazon here in our Week 6 fight between Amazon and Google. Of course, we'll jump into game number 2 and see if Team Google is able to come back and bring it to 1-1. We'll catch you in the next game in just a moment.